Hello and welcome back to Automotive Tales. On today's episode we are going to a racetrack in the east of Belgium, but not this one. So, you've probably guessed, we are going to see the F1 at Spa Francorchamps in the east of Belgium. But while we're driving through Belgium, we happen to have come across a place called Nessonvaux. And you might recognise what's written above that door there. This is not an imperial palace, but this is the original home of a motorcar manufacturer called Imperia. So the reason I've stopped here is it's only a few miles away from Spa Francorchamps, and about 97 years ago, 1928 to be exact, this was a car factory, and in 1928 they put a racetrack on the roof. Well, technically not a racetrack, a test track, but a banked circuit was built on the roof of this factory, much like the Lingotto factory in Italy. So unlike the test track at Lingotto and the other rooftop test track, that's a mouthful, try saying that when you've had a few, which is a Chrysler building in somewhere in South America, I think, that are both in existence still. This one is in, well, sort of existence. So this is part of the Imperia factory down here that opened in 1908. It actually took over from a previous manufacturer, it was an arms maker, that then made the first hybrid electric petrol vehicle back in 1906, I think. So very bizarre. But what's left of the track is sort of over here. So I'll go and put the 360 camera up and show you what's going on. The only way we're going to get to see this is if I put my camera through this gate, because there is no access to this site whatsoever, and I am not on the trespassing, but hopefully if the camera's in the right spot you can just about make out the track over there between the trees. A little gap in the wall. I can just about get my arm in to show you. This is the test track here. You can see it on stilts rising up into a banked corner, and then it goes up over the factory and off that way, and you can see the rake of the track there. It's quite impressive, really. So if you're thinking, John, where on earth did you drag up this really random bit of history? Well, actually, there's an amazing video on a channel called The Tim Traveller, which if you haven't seen it, I'd suggest you go and see. And I will put a link up in the top of the screen somewhere here, so you can go check out his fabulous video on rooftop test tracks, because he's the European expert on these sorts of things, apparently. Now, he did his video a couple of years ago. We're here in July of 2025. And it doesn't look like anything has changed at all here at the circuit. So unfortunately it's all locked up. It's a building site. Apparently the circuit, which is here to my right, probably to the left on the screen, is going to be saved. It's going to be preserved, but the rest of the site is going to be turned into houses, sadly. Now you might be thinking, John, why on earth are you filming this random industrial site in the middle of Belgium? Well, I thought as we're coming to a historic race circuit, I would come and find another piece of historic automobilia. Now, I believe there used to be a museum to the car manufacturer Imperia in the village here in Nessonvaux, but apparently some floods at the river, which is just to the side of the factory here, caused it to close a few years ago, and nothing has happened since. So here's hoping eventually there will be something here to celebrate this when they restore the racetrack. But given it was so close to our journey, I thought it would be mad not to come and have a look. Right, history lesson over. Next stop, Spa.
A few moments later.
Right, we have made it to our parking after a long slog. It was about 3 or 4 miles of uphill stop-start, so I'm pretty sure we've taken about 2,000 or 3,000 miles of the clutch in the Audi. We're here. Luckily, we've managed to get parked at the top of the hill, because this car park goes way off down a hill, which is going to be a bit sketchy if it rains. So we're in the right place today, hopefully. We're here for the F1, but I'm also here for this. Yeah, boy. Excuse the little Renault. Right, 1 shuttle bus and a half-hour walk later, we finally made it to the entrance of the circuit, where we now must queue depending on whether we have something dangling between our legs or not. Presumably this means they're doing much more than a bag search, but something fairly thorough. Didn't know that's what I was signing up for. Looks like I got through quicker than Mrs. Automotive Tales, despite the longer queue. Maybe it's a shorter queue for shorter men. So I haven't done anything to camera for a little while. We are now race day morning. We've been to the circuit Friday, Saturday for qualifying, sprint race, full race qualifying. Now we're heading back for the actual race. We're probably going to miss the F3 race because that starts at 8:30. And unfortunately, we're about an hour away. So we're actually staying in Liège because everything around the circuit is booked up more than a year in advance. So no option for us to get anywhere closer. As it happens, we've ended up in a car park right on the edge of the kind of circuit boundary, or the area in which they host the race, which means we get in and out nice and easily. We don't have to fight through Francorchamps. We just basically this little back road out past a sanatorium, which is a bit unusual, or an abandoned sanatorium, even more creepy. But it means we eventually get to the motorway without any traffic whatsoever, which is quite cool. So, just wait for Mrs. Automotive Tales. We're going to jump in the car and head back for race day, where I will update you some more. Right, we have made it to the car park. They've parked us downhill against a hedge in a wet field, so that's not going to go well later, I don't think. But anyway, time to get a poncho on to cover me and the bag, and then on for a damp trek to the track. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Spa in the rain. Can we get any better than this? Predictably, it's wet, so the F2 race is starting under a safety car.
A few moments later.
Well, we are half an hour, 45 minutes into when the race should have started, but unfortunately wet tyres are no good for a wet race, so no F1 yet.
Of course. Now, Norris is on the way, heading for the bus stop chicane, and the race is underway. Mesdames, Mesdemoiselles, Messieurs, c'est go, go, go pour cette épreuve sur la plus belgique de Norris qui emmène son équipier Oscar Piastri sur la mise. Charles Leclerc toujours en troisième position, Max Verstappen quatrième et la cinquième place pour Alex Albon. La réaccélération, la rattrapage définitive pour Alex Albon. beiden McLaren Piastris Manöver gegen Norris am Anfang und der frühe Reifenwechsel.
So that is it. It was a bit of a slow start to the race because of rain, but the race is over. So being up at Eau Rouge means there's no way we're going to get all the way around to see the podium ceremony because it's already happening and we're just about to walk onto the track, the top of Eau Rouge. But it does mean we get to walk down Eau Rouge, which is pretty cool. Lando! There is no camera angle or photo that will really do justice to quite how steep Eau Rouge is. I'm leaning really quite far back in my trainers just to stay sort of upright. It's insane. Have you ever wondered how they get the shot of the car driving over the rumble strips? Here's your answer. Tiny little camera embedded in the rumble strip as you come down to Eau Rouge. How cool is that? So that is the long walk up the straight before Eau Rouge to the hairpin. And at this point we're going to exit the track and head back to the car because, well, it doesn't look so obvious on camera, but I don't think the weather's going to hold for that much longer. So time to get to the car and hope we don't get stuck in the field. That was a bit close. Bloody Aston Martins. So that's where we're heading. Final bit of our journey. Just over there, which is like way over there. And the car is somewhere in amongst that lot. The irony isn't lost on me that after a post I made on Twitter, or X, whatever you wish to call it, about parking backwards into parking spaces has blown up. The most viral post I've ever had, but they forced me to park forward this morning when I arrived. So if I can't get out of this parking space because we're on a hill and we've got to reverse out on wet grass, I'm going to look a little bit silly. So fingers crossed. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Stay for